I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's time to bring my good friend Gevian Dargan from Animated Concepts onto the channel, where we talk about everything complicated. This week, we're going to address, we're not going to fully just address this issue, but this is where it's coming from. It's what I call, the dumplings and noodle incident, where you had this lady, I guess, to score some virtue points, she decided to call out a woman that had written a book called Dumplings and Noodles, who happened to be white. There were recipes within the book, I guess, that were of Asian descent. So she didn't think that she should be able to write that book. There was a lot of pushback. We hear a lot about cultural appropriation. I figured, hell, this is something Gevian and I can dig into. How you doing, Gevian?
I'm doing well, Wes, at least for the moment.
We'll see how this goes. It's weird. We've got a generation, and I have brothers and sister-in-laws here. You've got kids that are kind of around this generation, where we've had certain things like you can monetize both monetarily, but also social currency, like almost victimhood, kind of like you can air grievances and you can score big time social media points, or you can even monetize these kind of things. And it feels like everyone's grasping greater and greater to be able to proclaim some type of victimhood. Even like, it's not like this lady that wrote this dumplings and noodle book did anything to this person that was kind of attacking her online. She literally was only doing it to kind of hurt her image and to show how virtuous she is. It's strange. I don't understand this thing. I'm a Gen Xer. I know you are. I just don't get the concept, to be honest.
And neither do I. So, so you sent me the link, and I'm just like, it's almost like you'd have to go looking for this. I mean, you have to go looking for this.
Absolutely.
And my thing after reading it, I looked up. I just typed in, what's it name? Pippa Myrtlehurst, Dumplings and Noodles controversy, and read like 2 or 3 things of this, and I'm just like, what's so apparent is just the lack of, I don't know if it's like formal media training or just formal training in general, or just people just not being aware of like how to present themselves in a public space. And it's like, like let's start with good Pippa from the British Isles. And it's like, at least from the one thing I read, and I'm blaming this on, so if you come after about, oh, you took out of context, I don't care. This was from a website called Not the Bee, I think it was. Yeah, it was like, no, I'm sorry. It's KV Eats. That's what it was. And they were talking about, they addressed the controversy up front, and then she takes a couple things out. And I guess Miss Pipperton referred to tofu as Stinky. Stinky. I guess that it was that reference to the cuisine and these pejoratives, if you will, that apparently set off Miss Rosalind Toulouse to now attack Middlehurst, because apparently she sold such colonizer disrespect to the Asian cuisine. And it's just like,
I've called tofu stinky. I wasn't trying to disrespect anybody. It is kind of stinky.
Dude, talk to us black people about chitlins. Some of us don't understand why they eat
Hey,
chitlins.
I've been to the family barbecue for 4th of July.
No,
It's like, keep that bucket away from me. That's rough.
That's what, come on, man. It's like, I have pungent memories of my aunt's house during Christmas, where my grandmother would cook chitlins, and it was like, yo, I need a hazmat suit. I'm jumping out the window. It's like, come on, man. It's like, it is what it is. But it's like, if some white person or somebody who wasn't black wanted to write a book about chitlins, they said, well, I think chitlins are stinky, and I'm trying to come up with a recipe that makes them less stinky. It's like, it's like, some people, I guess, are like, I don't know whether
I'd appreciate it.
Kiss or punch you in the mouth. But I'd be like, well, thanks, because I don't get it. That's like when there's a kid there. It's like, am I punching down on black people? No, I'm not. It's like, this is like, you go into certain establishments, they have pig's feet in the jar. That's the most unattractive thing. You talk about presentation. It's like, no, I don't want that. And I love bacon. It's like, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the food that I love in its natural state.
So you have like these outdoor grills at night, specifically around Christmas time. It'll be like, eat some chicken beak, maybe some chicken feet, like pig face, all this stuff. And they're always trying to feed it to me, because I'm the white guy at the table. Like, I'm going to need another beer for that one. There's no way.
That's terrible.
I'm not doing
when I went away to private school when I was a kid, and up at a good old Deerfield Academy, and like the first day we got there, it was like when you do the tour to go see the school. And I was having one of my Will Smith Fresh Prince moments where these guys sat down, and for lunch we had quiche. Like, what is this? It's like, this looks terrible. I don't like this. It's like, no, I don't know what the word is for it. Ugly, not attractive, but it's like, I got no problem saying that. If someone say, well, you're disrespecting New England cuisine, then it shall be disrespected, because I'm not eating that. This is the kind of stuff
you didn't even try a bite.
I'm not going. No, I don't know. No, I'm not doing that, and I don't do shepherd's pie. It's like, no. Why would no?
That's mashed potatoes, meat and gravy. Are you crazy?
No, I do not.
Man,
Look, this is like, have you ever seen that?
Shepherd's pie is amazing.
Have you ever seen that Everybody Hates Chris episode? Dave nailed it. It's like, yo, wait a minute, yo. It's like my beans are touching my mashed potatoes. That's what that comes from, and that's totally legit. It's like, no, it's like everything stays separate. Okay.
I got what you're saying. My brother, we might as well have gotten one of those plates from school where he could have,
watch that juice.
Annexed all of his food away from each other.
Thank you. I forgot the name of that company, but I forgot name of that company, but well done, sir. They understood at least part of the black community. Yeah, you want that joint nice.
I get a thing of mashed potatoes and there's some corn on the table. It's going right on top of it. It's perfect. But to get serious about cultural appropriation, I can understand where it comes from, or the controversy, or people being sensitive in nature. There are times when it may look like someone is in appropriating someone else's culture. They're mocking it, or they're making fun of it, or maybe they're trying to, use it in a manner that doesn't feel befitting of what the origins of it were. We can look at early like minstrel shows and stuff like that. That certainly does not look like, in my eyes, when I see things like that, a celebration of black culture. So I can understand where those feelings come from.
Yeah, well, my only thing with that was, my thing is, I thought cultural appropriation, the whole problem with about it was money. Now, to me, cultural appropriation, my introduction to it was more Pat Boone, when he used to make race records, what they used to call race records. So it's like, you'd have like a Nat King Cole song, for instance, where it's perfectly good when Nat King Cole sung it. He has a beautiful voice. It's like, for some reason, somebody came along and said, well, this is really going to fly with the white folks. Let's have Pat Boone sing the exact same song. Who was the other one? Doris Day? Maybe she might have been one of them.
You would not like to hear the Philippines brigade. They come everything.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like that. And so I always thought cultural appropriation was more about like, hey, if I, as the originator of this, has made this music, and I should be making money off of it, but you put somebody else from another ethnicity, or because that's the word I'm going to use, ethnicity, to perform the same exact thing and not give me the money or give me the promotion or give me the exposure for it, then I got a problem with that. And that's what I thought cultural appropriation was about.
There are trademark laws. I think, like, if you use someone else's like work, that you have to like give them a fee or something, right? Nowadays, you can't just cover someone's music and put it on your own album without.
But the modern day version of that is basically Justin Timberlake and Bruno Mars. So like those, at least for me, with my old head, those are the ones that I see getting accused of cultural appropriation now, particularly Bruno Mars, where everybody was mad at him for Uptown. Like, apparently there was a bunch of black people in the black community who was mad at him for Uptown Funk. And I was like, okay, with all due respect, we've been using funk lately, because until him and Mark Ronson came along, I don't remember any of y'all, with the exception of maybe Prince, doing funk. It's just like, Funkadelic might still be doing tours someplace, but by and large, nobody's sitting up talking about, how great George Clinton was, as great as he was. It's just like, there's sort of, and this is not to be negative, it's just that a lot of artists have said it, like Michael Bivins of New Edition fame and Poison, when he did an interview, I think it was on the Breakfast Club, where he was talking about a lot of times the fact that a lot of black artists don't get royalties for their music because their music isn't played or kept up, it isn't embraced in the same way that, say, like, the Righteous Brothers, I think that's what it is, like their Lovely Feeling song. Like, oh, you lost that Lovely Feeling. That song shows and everything. Yeah, exactly. So, with the exception of maybe James Brown, who's a real exception, where his songs are used like in pretty much almost every movie or just about a whole bunch of movies, that there's this thing like sometimes once music comes in Black culture, it kind of goes away. It's like it has its time. So yeah, you got like old school radio stations that I listen to. My daughters are like, huh? Like, now they like Poison. Don't get me wrong, but this is kind of like there's this idea that when you have something like a Bruno Mars comes along, and now he's being backed up by a white guy, Mark Ronson produced it, and they're doing this really funky song that people are making money by. It's like all of a sudden there's something wrong with what he's doing, because Bruno Mars, I mean, I like the guy's stuff, so that makes me wrong that I don't want to be right. But he did that other song, Locked Out of Heaven, which I just thought that was an 80s song I just missed back in the day. But I was just like, oh, dude, I was like, what's this song right there? I thought it was like maybe like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of
people are upset because JT did an album which was essentially an homage to Prince, and then he did another album which is essentially an homage to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, now who's JT? Because I've never heard this person.
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake. Oh, that's what they call him. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. So Justin Timberlake. So Rock Your Body is pretty much in all but homage to Rock With You with Michael Jackson. It's obvious that's what he's doing. And I'm like, okay,
he had one whole album that was Michael Jackson. The other whole album was Prince. It's completely
and I was just like,
but he didn't take their music. He just kind of took their style and paid.
No, he appropriated the culture. He appropriated the culture. How dare you appropriate the culture? He's supposed to make his own.
Should I be mad at Darius Rucker for Wagon Wheel? I love that song.
Well, dude, you beat me to it. So you beat me to the counterfactual. I said it exactly. And it's like, and you know, there have been black cowboys and even some cowboy artists long before Darius Rucker came along. But exactly, it's like I'm gonna get upset at Cowboy Troy. No, but it's like Cowboy Troy. I was supposed to get mad at him.
I remember him with the Utah Jazz All-Star game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to me, cultural appropriation for me, it was just like that's that old Eddie Murphy skit where he's like talking about George Washington Carver and how he got ripped off by Skipperton and Jefferson because he was telling about how he could make a record needle out of a peanut. And he was like, yeah, that tasted pretty good there, George. And it's like that. It's like that to me is what cultural appropriation was supposed to refer to. But now in this new modern age, words don't mean what they used to mean, and concepts don't mean what they used to mean. They got
I'm tired of millennial speak, Gevian. I can't handle it.
I can't do it. It's
like a living, breathing dictionary that changes every single day, depending on what they wanted it to mean that day.
And it's like there's no sense of slippery slopes. There's no sense of like, there's consequences, right? No sense of precedent, nothing. And it's like, so that's why it keeps coming back and biting some of them right in the posterior. Because it's like, dude, it's like, come on, we need things to kind of be straight. And all I would say is even with this particular controversy, it's like neither one of them handled this right. Like when it comes to that book, you talk about Stinky Tofu. It's like, I get it, like I know chitlin steak, but it's like, do you not have enough awareness in this day and age to realize that somebody's gonna come along and that's gonna jump off? And it's like, if you don't have a ready defense for that, it's like, come on. It's like once I read that, I was like, yep, I can. And I'm gonna give my age away. I'm 48 and I know better than that. I just know better than that. As an editor, I would just say, look, there's probably 15 different ways you could have phrased that and got the same point across. And to fend off the social justice.
Don't you think people are just being sensitive?
Social justice wolves.
Stinky tofu's off limits. You can't even use the term.
No, I don't think
you have to say odorly challenged tofu.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I don't think they're being sensitive. I think they're being opportunistic. That's why I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's kind of what we started out.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember people didn't like Eminem, right? Even though Dr. Dre was the one producing all this stuff. I like Eminem. You know why? Yeah, because he wasn't trying to rap like he was everybody else. He was just rapping about his own stuff or being absolutely insane.
With a real Slim Shady, please stand up. I hate that song. I hate that song to the nth degree. It felt gimmicky, and I didn't like it. But it's like, look, this is when you knew that Eminem had, he was going to be good. Was when Lose Yourself came out. Because even my old man came out and said, "Yeah, that song is talking about something." So 60-year-old dude, he's like, "Yeah, I hear that. I feel that." And it's like, yeah, it's like the beat. and he's talking
Your blood
about hustle.
starts going a little bit. You remember that moment in time when that's how you felt, like this is my opportunity. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. It was rap's version of Frank Sinatra's "That's Life." That's what it was. That's what it was. And it was just like, and that's why my old man liked it. That's why the rest of us liked it. That's why it's on a bunch of people's playlists. That's why when you were a fake German Harris running from the law, that's why it's on your playlist, son. It's like that's
when you go to the
real.
gym, everyone's listening to it.
That's right. That's right. You come on to that, lift it 3 times your weight when you know you're about to kill yourself. It's like, no, Eminem's got my back. But yeah, no, that's what it is. And then for the Rosalind Tallison, and then the response, it's just like, and I got to go bring this up. It's like, what is a white woman doing writing a book about? It's like, okay, if you want to go there, fine, but you do realize they're going to come for you. That's all there is to it. You're practically begging them to come for you by starting off the conversation like that. It's just like,
what did she do afterwards? She tried to monetize it, right? I've got to go to therapy now because of all these Nazis. Here's my PayPal account. She knew what she was doing.
So look, unless her agent and Pippa Middlehurst's agent got together behind the scenes, like, yo, look, we can make some real money here. It's like, we realize we got this line in the book that really kind of no good, but it's like, but people ain't quite catching it yet. So we need you to go on Twitter and draw this to everybody's attention so we can get some sales on this joint. I mean, that's not beyond the realm of possibility. And this just feels really, really, really phony on a number of levels. And if I'm wrong, then, pretty soon Anime Concepts will be launching its social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and you can come for me and try to shut me down or cancel me, whatever. But like, this is almost like, is it a case of there's common sense and they just think that common, or you guys are just, you don't know what you're doing, or it's like, really, this is really how y'all all think and look at the world? I think
there are people out there that are literally looking for opportunities to be offended and shout it out to the rooftops. And you know what's weird, Gevian? It's not like there are no cultures outside of Asia that have dumplings or noodles. I think noodles are pretty much universal. Dumplings are kind of universal. I've eaten ravioli before. It's a dumpling. What do you want?
I said, the real question is, are her dumplings and noodles any good? But
she had a video about the science of making dumplings. I mean, she apparently knows something about it. My grandma made homemade dumplings. Yeah, they were great.
And I would invite people to go check out this KV Eats, that's KAVEYEATS.com, and look up this review, because I think they do a pretty good analysis of the controversy, even to the point that saying that, even with Pippa, she kind of realized there might not have been a real point to her book, because of what the people that she supposedly was writing it in contrast to, if you will, which was Ken Home was the one that they really mentioned. I guess the people who originally started doing Asian cookbooks, like, there was a reason why they did it the way that they did, that it might not have been as authentic, if you will. And it's just like, and this is what really, this is what's really kind of jacked up about the social discourse, or the discourse of today is, it's just how uninformed it is. It's like I tell my kids all the time, they come up to me and say, Dad, what does this word mean? And I said, look, it's not that your father is against helping you with stuff in life, but I said, you guys are walking around with freaking pieces of science fiction. Okay. It's like, when I was a kid, this thing here was something that you saw on TV on Star Trek. Okay. Some people, they call it a tricorder. I said, don't ask me about some word that you mean. You can go boop, 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 or you can even ask the dang thing, Siri, what does this word mean? Don't bother me, okay? It's like, let me enjoy the productivity of technology. It's the same thing here. It's like, you have people using words, talking about concepts. It's like, yo, dude, and look where the word woke came from. That's a word that originates from as late back as 1934. This is not new. The only thing new is you took that word and corrupted it. I could use that word at one time before the millennials got a hand on it. And it's just this ahistorical.
You're right. It's the corruption of our dialect.
Yeah. Lack of curiosity when it comes to talking to each other, that is killing all of us. Because then what happens is that all you got to do is start this, and then everybody just starts dogpiling on their version of what they think is going on. It's like you talk about this cultural approach
in Seattle.
Go ahead.
Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
These ladies went down to Mexico and learned how to make homemade tortillas. And when they got back, they started up a tortilla company. And they did an interview where they mentioned they went to Mexico and learned how to make tortillas. And they got put out of business. They're like, those aren't your tortillas. Those are those ladies in Mexico's tortillas. That's appropriation. It's like, it's a business. There are no homemade tortillas in Seattle. It's filling a need. Get the fuck out of here.
I was like, I went up to a friend's house one time and they were serving me Mexican food. They were not Mexican, they were white. So I said, look, I'm not going to eat this. I want authentic Mexican food, like Taco Bell. And they started laughing. I said, I'm not going to do it. But no, it's like there was this SNL skit that was on recently when Dave Chappelle was on. It was the whole thing with like Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima and Count Chocula. And it's like, that is literally, because I know Dave Chappelle's Gen X, that is literally, I agree with Dave's wholehearted sentiment behind that skit. Because I'm like, guys, it's like, I get the whole blackface thing because of what it represented, especially not only from a cultural thing of disrespect and the way people portray, but also from an economic thing of like how, it's just in a lot of ways, black people were being X'd out of that creative community in terms of the creative part having something to say and also the monetary part. But then it gets to a point now where it's just like, look, it's like so I'll put it this way. So it was just like with when Tyler Perry came on the scene with Medea and everybody's losing their freaking mind. And it's like, and anybody who knew anything about anything when it came to comedy, it's like, so you guys were mad about Flip Wilson when he did Geraldine, right? Everybody was upset about that, right? It's like when Martin Lawrence was doing Big Mama, I was like, it's not like they're not coming from no place with this. And I get it. It's because people say it always, we've done a show about this. It's about the making the black man more venom, whatever chance you can take to do this, and that, and so on and so forth. But it's like, at a certain point, you got to kind of apply some history to this stuff. Nothing is new under the sun. So let's stop acting like it is. But let's get to the point where let's start understanding what things should rise to the level of controversy. And I'm not sure that this particular thing rises to the level of controversy. I just don't. And if that means I'm wrong, then I'm missing something I'm wrong. Especially when somebody says, white woman, this, that, Nazis, they're coming after me like you should have been surprised. Therapy, pay me. No. And like I said, I still think that her and Pippa are basically running a kayfabe on us with this. That's it. That's how I feel about it.
It's a Jerry the King Lawler and
that's right. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman. That's what this feels like. That's what this feels like. And I'm not saying cultural appropriation isn't real. I ain't saying that. So don't even start. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen and that it isn't real. But what I'm saying is, guys, we got to start tightening it up.
We've expanded the definitions on these things to include everything. You could find fault in everybody. Listen, you might not think it looking at me. I make the best tacos in town because I'm the only one that's actually tasted real tacos in this town. I've actually, I live in San Antonio. I used to go to the taquerias all the time. When my wife's friends come over for taco night, it's a big deal to them. They're like, oh my goodness. They're not even that good. But for here, it's amazing because you've never tasted anything authentic. There's nothing wrong with celebrating other people's cultures. There's nothing wrong with embracing other people's cultures. I think it's cool that everybody wants to celebrate St. Patty's Day. I imagine a lot of people think it's cool that everyone goes out and gets drunk for Cinco de Mayo. I'm sure the beer companies think it's the coolest of all in the bar owners. It's cool that we can come together on these things and celebrate our differences. There's a reason that whenever there was 4th of July and I still lived back home, I went to both of my brother, their in-laws' house for the celebration because they had the better food. It was the Black House. That just happens to be, they had better ribs. They had better beans. What do you want? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with appreciate other people's cultures. There's nothing wrong with going out and making a cookbook if I think that I can make better, chitlins than you, or I make chitlins that are good for other demographics.
Yeah, look, I love Corona. I hate Zima and malt liquor. I don't know what to tell people. It's like some stuff is good, some stuff isn't. There's Chinese. I go to a Chinese restaurant. It's like it's a simple fact of the matter is is that there's one Chinese restaurant, well, actually two now. But then there's one Chinese restaurant I swear by, which is Chi Tung here in Chicago. The rest of them, a bunch of Asian people in there, but the Chinese food is terrible. Terrible.
I can tell you right now,
there's not a Mexican guy in the back making the food.
It's completely different than the Chinese food in America for the most part.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so, I mean, look, I'll say is this.
It's been adapted to the audience.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it seems like, at least from the review I read at Old Cavi Eats, was that Pippa did not understand that the supposed lack of authenticity might have been purposeful to adapt to the audience. So it's like, you ain't doing this shit. It's like we didn't know back then when Ken Home and Chi Hing Huang when they were putting their books out. It's not like they didn't know. They just like, they adapted to the audience. Now you coming along acting like you know something they don't know, which is what Rosalind is supposedly going.
She was going out there to call somebody out.
No, I'm talking about the cover story now. When she supposedly, she cleaning it up. She was cleaning it up. What she was supposedly going after. It's like, I haven't read the book Dumplings and Noodles. I'm not going to read the book Dumplings and Noodles. But if Pippa gave off that vibe, like, here comes the I'm using it. Yeah, I'm was it conventionally woke but religiously something, whatever. It's like, but if the colonizer came in and says, I'm going to show you how to make your food better than you, it's like, all right, dude. It's like I said, the food. I don't think
dumplings and noodles are for people in Asia. I think it's for people in the UK that would like to make as authentic food as they can, and that's a problem. I live here in Asia myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have access to all the ingredients I would in the United States. So if I want to make a green bean casserole, I'm going to have to adapt a little bit. If I want to make tacos as authentic as possible, it's not going to be anything like I would get in the U.S. I don't have the right cheese. I don't have the right ingredients. You have to adapt these things. When you're in the UK, which has notoriously, and I do apologize in advance to my UK listeners and viewers. I lived there for 4 years. They have terrible cuisine. It's obvious that they don't have the best ingredients. You want to make a good dumpling, you're going to have to adapt.
No, because now you're making me think of all these SNL skits now. Because there was another one. It was like the Italian game show, like, oh! So the first question he's talking about, your wife is making a lasagna, and she's got the this and that, and she's run out of Fugunza or something like that. So she goes for a bar of Velveeta. Whoa! Oh! Like, oh, what are you doing? Yeah, Velveeta. You might as well go dance to my grandmother's grave.
That's how they make lasagna in restaurants here.
And it's terrible.
There's no ricotta cheese.
And it's
I had to find a distributor in another city to ship it here so I could make my wife a real lasagna. And she was like, what is this? I was like, it's a real lasagna. Right. There's ricotta cheese. I did the best I could. But here, it would be like American cheese on top and Velveeta in the middle. I was like, this is rough.
God. This is terrible.
But they sell it at a restaurant.
Like one time we went to this place, and I'm busting about if I can remember the name of the place. Green something is a restaurant downtown, and it's like, whatever the meal was, because my mind is protecting me. They served it with this slice of American cheese over it. I was like, hell to the no. I'm not eating this. I was like, I let my daughters finish their meal, and then I went someplace and got a real sandwich. It's like American cheese, God bless it, is only fit for cheeseburgers on Labor Day and July 4th, and maybe Wendy's and Burger King.
You got just white
sandwiches. But no. But that using American cheese in a sit-down establishment, any place that I don't care what it is.
Unless it's the grilled cheese for the kids menu that costs 50 cents.
Cheese. There you go. That's it. Because the kids don't know that.
So when I lived in Huntingdon in England, I had a couple of pizza places nearby, and one of them had the American pizza, and there was like fucking potato chips and corn on it. You would never find a pizza in America with potato chips and corn on it. But if you go to Huntingdon in Cambridgeshire in England, and you order for this place, that's what it would come out. I was like, these people are ridiculous. What do you think about America? Is that we hate pizza? Like, how do you come up with this shit?
Well, the one I love in the hood, we see come up with, especially since I got to Chicago, is this thing where they'll take hot like nacho cheese and put it and basically pour it in the bags of Cheetos. I'm like, what is going on here, man? I don't even like the Taco Bell Doritos tacos. I'm like, this ain't right. This is not right. It's like, I know in your head, I know when somebody thought about it and said, hey, wait a minute. Not Tostitos nachos, dip them in cheese. No, Doritos, dip it in cheese. Does that mean you have to make a taco out of it? Like, no. But it's like, apparently it's a hit with some people. I'm like, yeah, this is not right.
I liked that version of the taco for the novelty. It didn't work with every flavor, but I did prefer the original Taco Bell tacos to the nacho to the Doritos shell after a couple weeks. So like that's.
But at least the people from Taco Bell didn't come out and say, we're going to show the Mexicans how to really make tacos.
Authentic gorditas at Taco Bell.
There you go.
Man, I remember the first time I went to a taqueria in San Antonio and I ordered a gordita. I didn't know what I was getting, apparently. I was like, this is a gordita? I was like, this doesn't look anything like what I've had before. I'd only had Taco Bell gorditas before.
Exactly. Well, exactly, because my wife keeps trying to sell me on chicken tacos. I'm like, nah, son, that's okay. It's like chicken don't go with everything. It's like fish neither.
You don't think
fish tacos?
There's definitely chicken tacos.
God bless that. The authentic was the chicken and fish tacos, and I'm like, I'm glad that's authentic, but that's just thing for me. I guess I'll be authentic. It's like this that Tom Jones taco. If hating is wrong,
I was down in what is it? The Redneck Riviera is that Pensacola. Mm-hmm. There's a place there. There's like a little fish stand. They had fish tacos. They're just so good. I don't even like fish that much. Yeah,
and again, because I'm having way too much fun with this than I thought I would at the very beginning when we started this. But it's like when you're talking about cultural appropriation for real, to me, what I thought it was, and maybe I'm actually gonna have to go back and now do some research because this new age has me utterly confused. I always thought a lot of it was about the economic aspect of it, where it's like it's almost like akin to like somebody from another ethnic group going into like the place where the hot jazz is at and like basically copying down somebody, taking somebody's song and like you said earlier, and then passing it off as their own. That's what I thought cultural appropriation meant, as opposed to what this apparently is. But so it's like you don't.
We didn't talk about this one, but this is an example. I know when Black Lives Matter happened, they sold a lot of merchandise. And it turns out the person that was selling all that was in Australia. They were not a black person. It was a white Australian dude. Is that cultural appropriation? They cashed in like millions on that.
I think there's a reasonable case to be made for that. And you know why I say that is because apparently that's the same charge that's being made to the Black Lives Matter movement itself from the parents of the children and the loved ones whom they're apparently making bank off either, because there are a few of the parents have come out and said, you guys are making money off of the memories of our loved ones and haven't even so much as thought to send a check.
Yeah, I've seen some of the houses. They're pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. It's and I think that's what's meant by appropriation, is that you are taking something that is very real to someone else, something that they're the ones who and this is not a great example to Black Lives Matter, but I think everybody gets what we're talking about. Is that you have people who are at the genesis.
You are not involved in this. It has nothing to do with you.
You are not involved with it. Nothing to do with you. And you're cashing. And thank you. And you're cashing in on it. And it's like, and that is that to me is what people mean by appropriation. Because I don't think any of these people would mind if you were going out there and bringing attention to their particular issue or to their particular product or whatever it is without getting paid, because that's called word of mouth advertising. But it's like when you start to make money off of it, and it's like the only reason you're making money off of this is something that personally happened or it involved me, then people have a problem with that. So yeah, homeboy in Australia, he's just dead wrong. I mean, at least my Black Lives Matter shirt, which you guys have seen on the broadcast, that one I bought from the National Civil Rights Museum. So Black Lives Matter ain't getting no money off of that neither, but at least the National Civil Rights Museum is getting some money off of it. But yeah, that's what you're talking about. And it's like people, if there's gonna be money made off of somebody's misery, then you would think it would be appropriate for the person who's suffering that misery to get a cut or whatever you make it, that you take care of them. If I come up with this great song in some club someplace on the south side of Chicago, you just happen to be there and hear it, you would think you would do me the courtesy of come back to say, that's a great song. Yeah, I'll give you $500 for it, and maybe cut you in for some royalties, but at least offer me the $500 for it. Don't just take the song and pass it off as your own. As that guy that, and now I'm going back to SNL again, that guy, I forgot what his name was, the blonde haired dude, Jay Lowry or Jay Moore. Jay Moore, who basically went and saw somebody stand up skit, came and passed it off as his SNL audition and got the job. It's like, come on, dude. It's like, what? Really? Just hire the dude as your writer. Hire the dude to write
your
joke.
Does not go over well. You get
absolutely
excommunicated.
Exactly. That's intellectual property, baby, at its highest. No, man, and it's the same thing here. So it's like, when you and then it got to the point where we talk about blackface, where it was, and I think this is where it really got stupid. You would have black people in blackface. That's how appropriated the culture got, because this particular culture, the white culture in America, just had a very specific idea of how they wanted to see black people appear. Then you look at even in the MCU, and we know, and I don't know if it's cultural appropriation, but it's definitely something when Tilda Swinton played the ancient one. It's like, why can't you just go find an old ancient Chinese guy to play that role?
The character was supposed to be Tibetan, and that would have upset China.
Exactly. So again, there's histories behind why this stuff happens. There's a reason why people do these things, and sometimes it's a little bit more, wait for it now, complicated than you might think it was to begin with. It's like, come on, man.
I do think people are too sensitive. Hey, somebody wants to write a dumpling book. It's her own recipes that she's learned over time. Somebody wants to make a book on barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's Kansas City barbecue, I don't think you owe money to the Kansas City barbecue community.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say that the people who like that tweet from Rosalind, or the people who were defending the other one, yeah, they too sensitive. It's like, I want to say the word for it, but it's like, yo, dude, can you just like not go for the rope-a-dope every time? It's like, can you at least just click a button first, use Google, use that piece of science fiction that you carry around in your hand in your pocket, and just look it up first before you go into that. And I'm like saying, Rosalind did herself no favor. She knew what she was doing. When she knew what she was doing. And when she came back with the whole Nazis thing, it's like all those people came to a defense. And if anybody clicked on that PayPal and paid for a therapy session, honestly, seek help. Seek some freaking help. Because it's like, dude, or it's like, at least learn a grift and just go do your own grift. Because that's nothing but a grift. It's like she went into that joint eyes wide open. And somebody's going to say, well, you don't know her situation. I don't need to know her situation. You can't. It's like, if you're going to engage in a meaningful discourse, there is a way to do it more effectively than this. Because, like I said, read that review at Cavi.
I guarantee you, I bet I could get an email to the lady that wrote that cookbook in 5 minutes, just by using the internet. And it could be a private communication.
Yeah, I just like to ask you, you said that the tofu sticker, don't you understand it X, Y, and Z? And see, this is the thing, and this is why I didn't like, and this is why I still don't like the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Because the simple fact of the matter is all these people talk, oh, he's disrespecting the flag, oh, this, and that. That man, and the man he spoke to, that man was approached by someone unlike all the rest of y'all up there, like, get Kaepernick, blackball him, cancel him, all this and that, approached him privately and said, you realize that this could come off disrespectful, and explain to him how he could do it differently. He explained like what they would do, and I believe, if I remember right, in the military culture, and that's why Colin Kaepernick went from just sitting on the bench during the national anthem to kneeling for it. And it's like, and of course, that story didn't come out till many months afterwards, because we all wanted to see the kayfabe feud going on. But that's where that came from. That came from a serviceman who was saying to him, this could be offensive. There's a different way to do your protest that's more respectful of the country, and it could get your point across better. But nobody wants to hear that. All they want to hear is, oh, he's disrespecting the flag. And now this high school kids disrespect the flag. Teach them to hate the country. This or that. And yeah, you're right. They're trying to cancel everything. Send money to the GOP. And the DNC ain't no better. DNC ain't no better. But it's like, guys, come on. We as people who are not making money off the grift have to be a little bit more savvy than this going forward. We just have to be. We have to be. Because there's too many grifters out there running these scams.
You can only hear them cry wolf so many times where you're just like, well,
exactly.
I got no time for this bullshit.
Exactly.
Like, get out of here. If you don't like the book, go write a better dumplings and noodle book. Call it real dumplings and noodle.
Or just don't buy this one, much less bring attention to it, which is going to make the sales of it go up. Yeah. So that's why I still say this is a swerve. This is a kayfabe feud. And it was Agent Hyde. They ain't cahoots.
There's a WWE storyline written all over it. At the end, it's going to be revealed that
that's right.
This is going to be a swerve.
Yeah, the fact that we're talking about it, the search stuff right over and went up. The fact we talk about it, it's like, hey, you want, and it's a good topic to talk about because, like I said, when we first started, when you first sent me this as one of them, you know, I always is I get that moment of dread. Then I go, okay, because this one I wasn't sure what my take was going to be until like probably right before we got on before the show because I'm just like, I don't want to talk about this one.
That's fun. Gotta spread a little.
But it's fun. But it's like, you know, it feels like what I'm doing a lot of times is it's just like it's put me in old man mode where it's like, well, Generation X, we never did anything. so forth. These millennials, they just fucking everything up. And the thing is that it's.
I despise millennial speak, man. I don't care. There's gonna be millennials in the comments being like, "Blow me, Wes." Fuck you too.
Basically,
I despise millennial speak. You guys have charged every word in the goddamn dictionary. Everything's fucking offensive nowadays. You have no idea the crazy shit I would have said to Gervais when we were 15 years old.
Well, that's true.
And he would have said crazier stuff to me. And we wouldn't have been offended. We would have kept playing baseball or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
It was life.
It's like when woke started first coming on the scene, and I was just like, so you mean I should just like actually look into what something's about and make up my own mind about it? Like not just go what somebody tells me? They gotta condense everything down into like some word that just basically, and oh Lord, they signal. But that signals, because that's what it is. It's like, yes, I'm okay like that. It's the password. It's like, what's the password? Woke. Yeah. Okay.
When you said that you were a cis male a couple of videos ago, I wanted to vomit. I was like, why are you accepting these stupid terms? That means nothing. That is a made-up word, sir.
Oh, no. I say it because that's someone else got on me about that when I use the word colonizer. I use the word colonizer. Well, no self-respecting person would use the word, no not woke person would use the word colonizer. Yes, I would use it to mock or to satirize or to get your goat or whatever it is. That's why I said the thing cis male thing. I was like, it's like cis male because I like women? Oh, no. Whatever shall I do? It's like, come on, get out of here with that. But like the woke thing came out. It's like, you know who woke me up way back when? It was my good friend Joel Hubbard, who was like this at that point. So I must have been like 30. So he was a 60-year-old white dude. We talked about films all the time. And I said at the time, well, you know, it's like Bill Clinton. He's like, you know, black people, they consider the first black president. He's looking at me like, you guys actually think he's like the first black president? Like you know what Bill Clinton has done with policies he's passed? So I had to actually go look it up. I was like, the white dude is right.
If you look at Bill Clinton's presidency, that's the most conservative governorship we've had since Reagan. More conservative than Bush, more conservative than the other Bush, more conservative than Trump. Yep.
As they say, the whole legacy of Clinton's presidency is he got things done that the Republicans couldn't do. No, not Monica Lewinsky. He got things done that the Republicans couldn't get done. That's the real legacy of Clinton's presidency. He lost both houses within 2 years. Mm-hmm. He never got them back. So if he wanted to do anything, he had to come to the table as an honest broker. So if you want this, you got to give us that. And what we got was pretty good government, even though I'm not a big fan of Bill Clinton. The contract with America. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's the way things should work. You gotta talk these things out. But if I was king for a day, every millennial, and we'll throw every Zoomer over the age of 18, they would all have to watch every episode of the Chappelle Show twice. That should get the offense right out of you, because he would do anything. Like first episode with the blind KKK guy. Whew,
oh my God, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. No, and that's the thing is that even with Chappelle, and that's the thing with Chappelle, because I remember I had a few people who were saying that, you know, they really did not like that show.
I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, they not like the subversives that show. No, that's right. No, because that thing is like, that's literally the epitome of taking a lot of inside talk in the black community and bringing it outside. And all I said to people at the time was, I said, look, the first thing is, it's funny. I said, second thing is, we all know there's a lot of truths about it. That's why a lot of us are mad about what he's doing. But I said, 3, he better have a dang good cover story, a dang good rationale when it starts to get challenged. And the problem was with Dave Chappelle, when number 3 came up, when he saw that white guy laughing just a little bit too hard, and that's what everybody was warning him about. At least the people in the black community were criticizing when he first started that show. He didn't have an answer for it. He had an answer for it on Charlie Rose's show for a minute, where he says, I'm just talking about culture. You know, I'm just putting the culture and showing the culture out there. But then it was like, yeah, dude, but we also know part of the culture is there's a difference, and this ain't even like a specifically ethnic thing. You know, there's a difference between people laughing with you and laughing at you. And then what Dave realized, that some people watching this was laughing at him and the rest of us. So, and not in a good way.
Whatever. I was laughing with it, man. That racial draft was amazing.
Oh, no, that's a classic. That's a classic. That racial draft is classic. It's all classic. Exactly.
Yes, perfect.
That joint was, he said, I'm going from fried rice to fried chicken. It was like, come on, man. It's like you couldn't get any better than that. And it was just like, and it was very much in the vein of Richard Pryor, because Richard Pryor did a lot of the same thing. And then Richard Pryor to the point where he got to the point where once he traveled to Africa, but he just got to Africa first before Dave did. And then Richard Pryor said he would never use the word, if I remember right, if anybody's out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, he would never use the word nigger again. Sorry, I've said it. Everybody gets kicked off. You would never use the that word again in his skits. He would never use that again in the sketches, because that's what it. Dave just got the kind of the weird way around where it's like he saw that moment and then just walked away from like one of the biggest deals in cable at the time, one of the biggest deals, TV deals in all time. And even to the point where the guy who created the show with him said he would never work with him again. And I don't know the whole story, and I'm not going to speak on it, but I could kind of understand from the outside that sentiment. It's like you knew what we were doing. You knew what we were doing. But now it doesn't matter, because now Dave has a Mark Twain Award. And we all know what Dave said about it afterwards. And so Dave Chappelle has opened the door for all the rest of us to realize that sometimes you might just not want to take yourself too serious about things.
Absolutely.
There are also things about
Have you seen Trading Places?
Oh, absolutely. Another classic.
You know that's based on a Mark Twain novel, right?
I did not know that.
It's based on. It's loosely based on a Mark Twain short story.
I did not know that. I know Clueless is based on Jane with Austen's Emma. I know that. Yes. People can stop telling me about that. But yeah, but I didn't know that. Okay. That makes okay.
Mark Twain's, check that one out. Obviously, I'm from Missouri, so I'm a big Mark Twain fan. I wish people would understand the man's work and where it came from. So,
agreed.
This has been a very interesting conversation. I hope people enjoyed it. We were able to have a little bit of fun here, talk about some serious issues, talk about how we've seen things, and hey, I guarantee if you go to Gevian's house, he makes some white people food. You come to my house, I'll make some black people food. We'll celebrate each other's cultures because we're normal people. And sometimes I want some food outside of my own culture.
And I'll say this, unlike my co-host here, I love Millennials. I need you to buy my books. But anyway.
I didn't say I don't like Millennials. It's the language. For the most part, Millennials are great. If you get them one-on-one, you talk to them, there's some common sense there. It's when you get them in a pact, then they get unruly.
I think like with all of us, it's their elite class that's the problem. It's the ones who basically you have the unfortunate association of being in the same generation as them. That is the problem.
Guilt by association.
Guilt by association, because it's like this joint here. If for those of you who are going to check this out afterwards, yeah, you gotta read these tweets that Wes sent me, because it's just like, what is going on here? And then and also what the people allegedly wrote in the book, it's something else. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of like what it reminds me of was that dude Frank Gogol. It's like that kind of thing. Nobody loves him. Nobody loves him enough to tell him, don't do this. Don't do it. But anyway, it was fun.
All right, Gevian, I had a good time. I hope people enjoy this. Next week, I think we're gonna have a special guest, and Joe's gonna join us. We're finalizing that.
I'm going to confirm that today, and if all goes well, you will hear an announcement from the Animated Concepts Facebook and Twitter page will be debuting this week to promote it. So look, if everything finalizes well and holds up today, really looking forward to the conversation. It's going to be a good one. Really good one.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, Wes.